Hello friends, my name is McKenna and welcome to Knit Between the Lines, a knitting podcast. This is a podcast where I talk about what I'm spinning, what I'm knitting on, and my love for other fiber arts. So grab whatever project you're working on and let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about with you guys today is actually Flock Fiber Festival. This is a annual fiber festival that occurs up in Seattle, Washington in early August. What are you doing, baby? You want to say hello to the people? It's been a while since we've had a little kitty appearance on the podcast. Such a cool baby, huh? So I had the super fun experience of getting to go this year yet again, but I got to go with one of my knitting friends, which was super fun. Unfortunately, I was kind of the worst and did not take very many videos. There definitely felt like there was more people this year and there was so many new to me vendors and dyers, so I kind of got engulfed in the experience of just like being there with my knitting friends, being able to support some of my friends that had booths, and just kind of taking it all in and having a good time. I will pop in some clips that I did manage to take when I remembered. There's just not very many of them, but I can chat with you about all the things I got to see and as well as what I walked away with, which honestly could have done a lot more damage than I did, but I feel like I walked away with really cool stuff. So this is a fiber festival that occurs up in Seattle, Washington, and is organized by La Mercerie, which is a local yarn store in Seattle, Washington in Bainbridge Island. This is a fiber festival that's only, I think, 3 years old. This is my second time going. I did get to go last year with my husband Cameron, which was super fun. He's really great at grabbing clips of things that we do, especially that are yarn related for you guys on the podcast, while I'm like in it and experiencing it and talking to people and buying things and touching all the yarn and the fiber. So he was unable to make it this year due to a new job that he recently got hired on at, and he had orientation the same weekend as Seattle, so he wasn't able to join me, but I was able to invite one of my really good knitting friends who goes to knit night with me every week. We got to hang out and have fun and really get to know each other and just get to experience Flock together, which was super fun. This year was super cool. There was a lot of new to me dyers that I have either heard of or not heard of at all and saw on Instagram or seen for the first time at Flock. So it was super cool to kind of get a walk around and touch everything and get a feel for everything. Also, something I noticed this year is that there was way more hand-dyed fiber braids and bats this year than last year. Last year, I want to say that there was maybe only 2 or 3 booths that had fiber. There was one booth that had like all fiber, and I think there was 2 other ones that were selling yarn and hand-dyed fiber. This year, it felt like almost every booth had hand-dyed fiber, which was so cool to see. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I feel like hand spinning on spindles and wheels has really blown up in the fiber community in the last year. And I think it's just because exposure to the craft as well as resources to the craft has definitely expanded since more people have gotten into it. Spinning is one of those things where it was really hard to find resources on like how to learn how to do it. Not a lot of people knew how to do it, so it's not like you could go to a class. Not everywhere offers classes in spinning on a wheel or a spindle, so it wasn't something that was really accessible to everyone. And I really feel like in the last year a lot of crafters and YouTubers have really gotten into hand spinning and have made information and resources widely more available to other people who want to learn, and there's been more classes, more information about different fibers, all the things, and I just love that I get to see that reflected in what was offered at Flock this year, because it felt like every booth I walked into had the most beautiful hand-dyed braids, and I really had to like check myself and keep me from buying everything. So it was really cool to see like yarn conventions really adapting with like crafters, because fiber was not something that was widely offered last year and it was everywhere this year, and it was really cool to see. So of course that means most of the stuff that I bought this year is fiber. So I'll get into that too as well. I really enjoyed Flock. I got to really expose myself to new dyers, which was my plan. So every time I go to any sort of fiber festival in general, I, as a person in general, will not buy yarn without a project in mind, just because I am deathly afraid of my stash being overloaded with yarn that I can't use, because I either didn't buy enough or I bought the wrong weight, or the color's off and I can't think of anything to knit with it, so it just sits there forever. So I will only ever buy yarn with a specific project in mind. And that is my advice to you if you ever go to any sort of yarn festival, whether it's Flock, Rhinebeck, Secret Sheep, or even just your local like fiber festival or 4-H fair that happens to sell fiber and yarn from their sheep, animals, etc. Have like a project or two in mind to really help narrow your focus when you go to these yarn festivals and fiber festivals, because it can be very overwhelming. There is so much beautiful yarn and so much beautiful fiber, and there's a lot of people, and it can be very overwhelming. And you can either end up not buying anything because you're overwhelmed, or you buy too much and then you're like, I have all this stuff and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. So I went in with wanting a sweater quantity's worth of fiber, specifically from this one dyer, which I will share all about that in a second because I'm actually really obsessed and I'm super excited. So I knew I wanted that. That was my first goal. That was my target. That was the first booth I went to when we got there Saturday morning. And then I knew I wanted to get yarn for a pressed flowers shawl by Christoffers because I love my pressed flowers cardigan, and I've seen several people knit the shawl and it always just looks so cozy, and I knew I really wanted to make that. I just didn't know what colors I wanted. I very much was like, this is the project I want to knit. I want the booths and the yarn to kind of like inspire me when it comes to my color choices. So it was really fun to kind of like walk around and just kind of window shop for a while. And then my friend Delaney, she was there as well. Her goal was the Hesper shawl, also by Christoffers. And essentially what we did is we walked around and like workshopped with each other, and we would make different color combinations and take pictures of them. And once we walked through all the booths, we like went off to the side and we both looked at all of our pictures and kind of workshopped what we wanted. And it came to a situation where we both like, I can't just stop thinking about this color combination, and that's what we ended up going with. But it was really fun to be able to have someone to like work through that with me. But yeah, I think going in with those specific things in mind really kept me from just like buying yarn to buy yarn, because I had an end goal. So it like made me not overwhelmed, very much tailored my yarn buying experience, and probably ended up saving me a lot of money. So that being said, let's get into what I bought. The first thing I bought was my sweater quantities worth of fiber. I have yet to spin for a sweater. The only large spin I've done so far was my Tour de Fleece spin for the Traveler Shawl, which I do have the finished skeins for you guys, so I'm super excited to show those to you later on in the episode. But I was really intimidated by a sweater spin because it's a lot of fiber, and it's going to be a large undertaking, and it's going to take a lot of time. I had no intention of buying a sweater quantities worth of fiber when I decided to go to Flock until this dyer posted this colorway on her Instagram story, and I was obsessed. So the fiber I got is the Flock exclusive colorway from Witchfire Fibers in Market Bouquet, and you can't tell me that this is not the prettiest thing you've ever seen. She posted this picture on her story, and immediately I was obsessed. I was like, I have to have that fiber. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I need to have it. And I remember going up to my husband, he was in bed, and I was like, hey, so hear me out for my Flock plans, because I had a little note in my phone for like my goals and what I wanted to buy, so I could kind of like beeline to those booths to get what I wanted, and then I could just kind of like meander for the rest of the weekend. And I showed him this fiber. He was also obsessed with it. And I was like, listen, I could just get like 2 braids and do like a traveler cowl or something really small so I don't have to get a lot. And he goes, oh yeah, he's like, that's really pretty, I really like that. And then I was like, I also would like low-key love to make a traveler crew neck with this fiber. And as soon as I showed him the pattern and then I showed him the fiber, he was like, girl. He's like, no, you have to do the sweater. He's like, you're gonna wear the sweater way more often than a cowl, and like that's gonna look so cool in a sweater. So, which then led to me buying 8 braids or 2 pounds worth of this colorway. So this will end up being a Traveler Crew by Andrea Mowry. I've already knit a Traveler hoodie, and I love my Traveler hoodie, but I don't need 2 of them. So I decided that with this fiber, I'm going to spin a 2-ply fractal sport weight yarn, hopefully, fingers crossed, for the Traveler Crew by Andrea Mowry, and I think it's going to look so good. I do remember being a wee bit stressed because the fact that this is a show exclusive colorway, that means it's only going to be offered at Flock. So it's not like I could decide later and buy it from her online. So I was a little bit stressed about them running out by the time I got there. So she was my first stop. Like Saturday morning, 10 a.m., doors open to the marketplace, me and Delaney beelined it. We beelined it to this booth. And I even messaged her originally and I was like, hey, so I'm obsessed with this color. Out of curiosity, like how many braids are you bringing? Because I'm planning on doing a sweater spin and I'm gonna need like 8 braids, and I like don't want to clear you out, but I also like want to make sure I get what I need. And she mentioned that she was only bringing 15, so I was gonna be taking like over half of the braids, which like I would feel really bad about. I would this is so pretty. I would want other people to have the opportunity to also spin with this because it's so good. But she did tell me that she was going to offer a pre-order physically at Flock. So you couldn't order it online from her, but if she ran out of the colorway at Flock, she would do a pre-order for people to place at Flock while they were there to then get shipped out in September. And I was like, perfect. So like even if I don't make it there in time or there's not enough for like the full 8 braids, I can just pre-order whatever else I need. I decided that like I still wanted to just get there and get what I needed because I would rather just have all the braids. That way I can kind of start whenever I want to start. So I walk up with like an armful of braids and she immediately clocked who I was. And she was like, oh my God, did you get all the braids that you needed? And I was like, yes, I did. And then she informed me, she was like, I'm glad because I'm not going to be able to do the pre-order. And I was like, oh my God, no, it happened. So I guess the base that she dyed this on, which is her Heather Merino, it's 100% merino and it's approximately 4 ounces. She gets this base, I think overseas from a mill, I don't remember exactly where, but due to the new administration's policy regarding like tariffs and duty taxes and everything, for her as a small business, she couldn't afford to get the base anymore. So she essentially looked at me and she was like, I'm not going to be able to make any more of these. So I'm really glad that you got what you needed. Which then I was super excited that I was able to grab what I needed, but then I also felt bad because that means there was going to be way less people that were going to be able to get their hands on this braid, but I really wanted it. So, and I think by the time I got there, people had already bought braids. And when I left, I think there was like 4 or 5 braids left. So there were still some left. I didn't like totally clear her out, but I was like too excited for this to be like a traveler crew that I just kind of snagged it anyway. So unfortunately, like she will not have this, at least for now. She might potentially do a re-dye later, but as of right now, this was her Flock show exclusive colorway. So I don't think she will be selling this outside of this past weekend, but I could be wrong. She might bring it back later, but I'm really, really excited. I have 8 braids or 32 ounces because the braids are 4 ounces each. So 4 braids would have been 16 ounces, which is a pound, and I have 8, which is 32, which is 2 pounds. So I definitely should have enough. I didn't know how much I would need for a sweater's quantity. I did some research, and essentially everyone online was like anywhere between like 1.5 to 2 pounds. It's just a pretty good place to be in because you'd rather have more than not enough. And I also am going to be knitting a larger size because I'm a larger person, and the Traveler is a textured knit, so it does eat up more yarn than the typical stockinette sweater would. So I just went with 8 just to cover my bases. Worst case, I have extra and I can use it in other projects. So, but I'm super excited. This is probably going to be my spin project for the fall, and actually really, really excited. I love the colors. There's like a mustard, green, blue, mauves, pinks. Like it really is like the perfect description of a market bouquet. So really, really excited to get this spun up this fall. So that was my first goal that I was like, I need to get to this booth ASAP. My second goal was to stop by my friend Mackenzie's booth, who's M to the 3rd. She does naturally dyed yarn as well as fiber bats. And I've never spun from a bat before, and I really wanted to try it out and also potentially learn how to do long draw, which is a woolen style of spinning. And I also wanted to support my friend. So I swung by her booth as well, both me and Delaney, and she's also learning how to spin. So she actually snagged a bat as well. I snagged 2. That's a lie. I think Delaney also got 2 bats. We ended up going back and getting her a second one, but I snagged 2 bats. So let me grab those. Oh yeah, you should be able to see those. Okay. So the first one I grabbed, there's not like colorway names for these at all. She essentially just put a bunch of different colors of wool and breeds through a drum carder to create these bats. So it's not like there's like a colorway name for each bat. But the first one I got is this one. Oh cool, the plastic doesn't make it too hard to see. Which is this really cool, just like heathered purple tweedy situation. Like in the back, you can kind of see all the different colorful neps in it. I think this is going to be so freaking cool. This was the first one I was drawn to. There was another one that was very similar, but it was like a mossy green color, but I decided that the 2 bats I got, I wanted them to kind of go together, so. But let me tell you the fiber contents, because she does have a little sticker on the back right here that tells you everything that's been mixed into it. So this bat is roughly 1.7 ounces, and it has naturally colored black Welsh mountain roving from Shaggy Bear Farms, which is in Oregon, as well as Polwarth wool top with dyed wool neps, which is those like little tweedy bits in there, dyed merino top, dyed BFL and silk top, and then dyed Surrey alpaca. So I'm really stoked. This is gonna be super, super soft. I haven't decided how I'm gonna spin with it yet because I've never spun with a bat. I think I wanna just like spin it with a short forward, just because that is the style that I'm used to for now, before I just like jump straight into long draw, because I've not done long draw at all. So I kind of want to get a feel for how to spin a bat first. So I couldn't just get one because I really, really liked this one. So I got another bat from her, which is this really pretty, like, I feel like it gives like dark academia, rose garden, like Victorian Gothic situation in the front, but then in the back you get this like flash of like neon yellow right here, which I think is super fun. So very much a different vibe, but I think what I'm gonna do is this one's gonna be one ply and this one's gonna be the other ply, and I'm gonna ply them together. Or I could parallel draft so they mix together and make more of like a heathered yarn. I've not decided yet. I'm just really excited to like touch these and like spin with them for the first time. So this one is 1.3 ounces. It's dyed BFL and bunny roving from Bellwether Wool Co. in Willamette Valley, Oregon, which is local to Portland. It's naturally colored Jacob Shetland Icelandic roving from Skagit Woolen Works in Skagit Valley, Washington. Dyed merino top, and then dyed miscellaneous wool top. So they both have like a really cool mix of fiber too. So I'm super excited. I think these are really, really fun. She occasionally will post these on her website for sale too. So if you want to support a small business owner, or if you're local to Oregon or Washington and you want to support a local business and you want to try spinning a bat, or you just already like bats and you want to try some fun colored ones, definitely check out Mackenzie at M3. She will randomly kind of list them on her website occasionally. She also has an Instagram that she posts about them all the time. So definitely check her out. Really, really stoked that I was able to snag these because she didn't bring a ton of them to flock. So I definitely wanted to make sure I grabbed 2 of them. A, so I could learn to spin from a bat, and B, to support a friend. So the last couple things I bought are from the same dyer. Her name is Haley from Made by Haley Bailey. She is also local to me here in Portland, and I just love her stuff. I have used her yarn before in the past and am actually obsessed with it. So I made a beeline for her booth as well to see what she had. And the first thing I bought from her is like probably one of my favorite things she's ever created, and that is her whipped hand cream. And it's funny because it's actually called like whip. W-I-P, which we love a little knitting play on words, but it's like literally like a whipped hand cream, so it's super light and fluffy. I feel like a little like makeup influencer right now, but it's super light and fluffy, but it is a fast absorbing lanolin based hand cream for hardworking hands. So a lot of like fiber artists, because our hands get super dried out from knitting with wool all the time. I love this stuff. So I bought my original one I got from Sacred Sheep, and this one is in her Moss and Ember scent. I bought this back in November, and it was a really small little jar, so I was like really trying to conserve it as much as possible, but like you can tell that like I've used quite a bit of it already. Oh, it's so good. So I knew that I wanted to get another jar from her before this one was out. What I wasn't anticipating was her coming out with new scents. First one that caught my eye, of course, is the Moss and Embers, which is my favorite. But right after that was a new scent that she came out with, which is White Currant and Thyme. And I swear to God, you guys, as soon as I smelled this, it was over. I basically love anything with currant in it. I can't describe. It smells herby, but the white currant kind of gives it like a citrusy sweetness to it too. It's so good. I'm actually obsessed. And they had a couple other scents too. They had Moonflower Vine, which is what my friend Delaney ended up purchasing, which also was really good and was another contender, but like I just could not get this one. And her Winter Birch scent is very, very good. It's very piney and woodsy, but it's really good at like being very unisex, because you know sometimes more woodsy piney scents can lean very like cologne-y sometimes, like very like Axe body spray situation. She did it very well and it smelled so good, but I told myself I could only get one hand cream, so I went with the White Currant and Thyme, and I am like so stoked. I told myself I'm not allowed to get into this until I finish this one. So she also upped the sizes as well. So this is the one that she offered at Sacred Sheep back in November, and she doubled the size for the ones at Flock. So this one, my original one's 0.5 ounces and this one's 1 ounce. So super stoked about having more because I literally love this stuff. A lot of lanolin based like hand creams. Like I have a couple of these Tuft Woolens like hand balm sticks, and I find that they leave kind of like a greasy residue. This one does not. It's very light, it rubs in really nicely, and it soaks into your skin really nicely, so you're not left with that like greasy finish that lanolin hand creams can have, which is super awesome. And honestly, like I leave my small one in my project bag, and I have this one at my little like desk where I film and like work on the computer and sew and stuff to kind of just like dip into. So absolutely love. Definitely recommend if you see her at a yarn festival anytime soon, definitely snag yourself some. She has little testers too, so you can smell them and kind of put a little bit on your hands to see if you like it. But because I loved the scent so much, she also was offering wool wash. So I got the same scent in her wool wash that's all lanolin based, and it smells so freaking good. So I'm really, really excited to break into this as well. And it also has lanolin in it, and I really do like my wool washes to have lanolin in it to kind of recondition the fiber. She did say to make sure to shake it before you use it, because lanolin by nature is oil, so it kind of separates out over time when it's sitting. So just give it a good shake before you use it and you're good to go. But let's see. Oh, she describes the scent. So White Currant and Thyme is notes of currant, lemon peel, grapefruit, bergamot, ozone, juniper, mint, and thyme. And I love currant. I love bergamot. I really love juniper. So like it's not, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I'm actually obsessed with this. So we'll be grabbing more because I'm assuming she will probably be at Sacred Sheep again this year, so I will probably grab more. But yeah, definitely check her out. In addition to the whipped hand cream and the wool wash, I also bought some yarn from her. I love Haley Bailey's color palette a lot. A lot of it is like nature inspired, specifically Pacific Northwest nature inspired. So when I went and I was looking for my pressed flower shawl yarn, I like found this color pairing and I could not get it out of my head for the rest of the day, and like finally went back and just bought the yarn. So I got her classic DK base, which is 100% superwash merino DK weight, 231 yards per 100 grams. And these are the colors I got. This one is coming up a little bit more brown, I think, on the camera. Sometimes it's hard to tell in the viewfinder, but this is like very much a purpley brown, and this is more of like a purpley gray taupe color. This is called Muslin Moth, and this is anthocyanin, and I just think that is gonna make the coziest pressed flower shawl ever. My friend looked at it and she was like, this is giving like Twilight ho 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 vibes, but like also in a coffee shop on a rainy day. And I was like, that's like everything I could have ever wanted. So immediately sold me. So this will be casted on very, very soon. Really, really love these colors together. I just feel like it's gonna look so cozy and warm and soft. I have knit with Haley Bailey's yarn before. My Sheep Camp sweater by Jennifer Berg is out of Haley Bailey. It's her eucalyptus colorway and her oak moss colorway, which is like a green cream almost. It's a cream color that leans green, and it almost doesn't look green until you put it next to a green, which is funny because I feel like this is the same thing where like both of these colors bring out the purple in each other, because like individually this doesn't really look purple and this doesn't really look purple, but when you put them together, like they bring out the purple in each other, and I kind of love that her colorways do that. But I love Haley Bailey. I got her Advent last year that was inspired by Mount Hood. I loved the yarn I worked with for my sheep camp, and I love these colors so much. So definitely check her out if you love like nature inspired colorways. She always has a fun take too. She has really good neutrals as well as like fun bright colors, variegated speckles, tonals, like she does it all. So definitely check her out. I love her and I'm super excited to cast this on in the future. So yeah, that is everything I bought from Flock this year. So definitely got quite a bit, like 8 braids of fiber, 2 bats, and a Shawl's project worth of yarn. So like definitely didn't walk away with anything, but I definitely don't feel like I spent above my means and above my making capabilities. And then I got a wool wash and a hand cream. So like not bad. I didn't get too much, but I also like still got a decent amount where like it made definitely the trip up to Seattle worth it. So really happy with everything that I got. I'm like super excited to start spinning and knitting on this stuff. Super stoked. So that being said, let's move on to the rest of the podcast. So let's jump into some whips, some works in progress. So I do not have any new works in progress. I still just have the 2 that I've been working on pretty monogamously. So the first one I want to chat with you guys about is my Doppio sweater by Seunghee Hong. So I've been working on this sweater pretty monogamously the last couple weeks, and I feel like I've made a ton of progress, especially since the last time I showed you guys this sweater. I feel like it's come such a long way. Let me get my life together here. Hold on. Here we are. I basically have like a whole sweater, you guys. So I was able to finish the body of the sweater. I then went back and casted on the collar, just because the collar is really great at cinching kind of up that extra fabric around the yoke and really like tightens that up and cleans it up a little bit, and that can also really affect the length of your sleeves. So I went back, I did the double folded collar, which is like super squishy and I really like it. And I have the right arm done. And the left arm, I am just about to do the cuff. So it's like essentially done for the most part. I just have to finish the cuff, weave in my ends, and give her a block. And she is done. I feel like this is gonna look so pretty. This is my first time knitting a like marled sweater, and I kind of went for a more like subdued marl, but I really like it. I think it's gonna look so nice in the winter. And it's so soft, you guys, and it's so thick. As a reminder, the yarn I am using is, of course, Explorer Knits and Fibers, because I love them very much. It is their Denali sock base, which is their super wash fingering, and Catch of the Day Botanicals from their Farmer's Market collection, and a Surrey Alpaca and Skogafoss from their Icelandic re-dye that they just did. And I'm super happy with these colors. I really like them. This is the size 5, which is going to give me an estimated 2 to 3 inches of positive ease. My bust currently is anywhere between 45 to 47 inches, depending on, you know, life circumstances. So I am knitting the size 5, which should be giving me about 2 to 3 inches of positive ease. So this will be the most fitted sweater I think I've ever made. I think most of my sweaters have about, I want to say like 5 to 8 inches of positive ease typically. I think my Ingrid sweater, my big alpaca gray sweater, is like 10. It is quite oversized and quite large. But most of the time I kind of sit around like 7 to 8 inches of positive ease. That's just kind of my comfort zone because I do like a more oversized boxy fit in my sweaters. So this is by far the most fitted sweater I have, but I have tried it on and like I don't mind it. I think it's really nice. I think it'll look really great with my like mom-esque jeans that I wear very often that are high-waisted. So I'm really stoked about this actually. A lot of people have described it as like a sweatshirt style kind of sweater because it does compound raglans. You can't super see it because they are a little hidden in the construction of the sweater, but they're kind of like curved because of the different rates of increasing to kind of give you a better fit to accommodate your shoulders. So I'm super, super stoked. This knits up so fast because it's a bulky weight gauge, because it's 2 fingering weights and a suri. So it is quite thick. And I'm knitting on a size 8 needle just for gauge purposes, but most people knit this on a size 10 needle. So she flies, guys, flies off the needles. So I am super stoked for this to be finished. It is definitely still too hot in Portland to be wearing this. I mean, we just got out of like a 90 to 95 degree week. So like right now it's a beautiful 75, but still definitely too warm. But I'm super stoked that it's gonna already be done and I can just throw it on when it starts to get chilly outside. So I really, really like it. I do have yarn to make a second one, which I don't think I will cast on for a second just because I want to kind of do some other stuff. But when I need a quick sweater knit, just cause, maybe I'll cast the other one on too. But I really recommend it if you guys are interested. It's a super well written pattern. She has an additional PDF so you can add more statement raglans to make them a little more visible. So I think the next one I knit, I will do that. But really, really loved it. Super quick knit, super easy knit, like highly recommend. It's also super fun to play with the marling as well. So I think you guys should try it out if you're at all interested. It's a very well written pattern, super easy, super fast. Super cozy too. Like I really can see myself throwing this on when it's like a really gross rainy day here in Portland and it's like 50 to 60 degrees out and I just want to feel cozy. So super excited that this is almost finished. That also means I get to cast on a new project because I'm trying to hold myself accountable. Also my little Labubu. She lives on my project bag and I love her. My next whip is the Nightlight Shawl by Andrea Mowry, and I think the last time I showed this project to you guys it was like this big. She's no longer just that big. I think I've actually just reached the halfway point on the shawl. So she is long now, my friends. Let me... Can't even get all of it into the screen. So I have officially reached the halfway point. I just did my last increase repeat and now we're going into the decrease repeats. So it's essentially going to be like double this length. But I'm really loving the color shifting that's happening. Light Years is super fun because it has a good mix of like this neon green, but also like these more minty colors and there's these blues. I just really, really am kind of obsessed with this. It's really, really fun to knit. This is what I worked on during Flock when we were just like chilling at some of the tables with some other fellow knitters. I got a lot of compliments on this project. I can't take credit for how beautiful this project is because not only did Andrea come up with the concept and write the pattern, but she also came up with this color combination, so I just copied everything she did. But it looks so beautiful. I really love the checkerboard kind of motif. I love the color shifting. Like this has just been like a really fun project to work on when I just want something a little interesting that's not stockinette like my Doppio, but is also still not like super complicated where I need to be staring at the pattern the whole time. The pattern repeat is really easy to memorize. Like I essentially did it a couple times and I had it locked in. So it's super easy to memorize. It's really great to just like knit on when you need something a little interesting, but isn't like super complicated like lace or cables. So it was really great to have this in rotation with my project. So it's literally just been this and the Doppio that I've been working on the last couple weeks, and I think you can tell considering the amount of progress I've made on these. But I really, really love this pattern. If a shawl scarf isn't your vibe, she also has the Night and Day cowl, which is her like very typical like triangle cowl that is the same motif but on a way smaller scale. So if you don't want to knit a whole shawl, definitely check out the cowl. Still has that really pretty like striking checkerboard effect, but way less knitting. Even that being said, this is like a sideways long shawl, so it's not like you have 300 some odd stitches on your needles at once. Like when I knit this, the Attune shawl, I was struggling at the end of this project because there was just so many stitches. The yarn was super thin, my needles were super small. It just took so much time at the end to get through just one row. Whereas this one, I think the most you have on your needles is 99. You only have 99 stitches, and it's worsted weight yarn on a size 6. I'm using a US 6. I can't remember what the needle size is on the actual pattern, but I think it's a 6. So like larger needle, larger yarn, way less stitches, super fun mosaic-esque motif. Like, it really does kind of knit itself, to be completely honest with you. Like, I do not feel like I've been working on it all that long, and I feel like I'm like cruising through it. So really recommend if you're looking for like a fun, easy kind of color work-esque project that like really kind of keeps you entertained because of the color shifting yarn and just like the motif itself. Definitely recommend the Nightlight Shawl or the Night and Day Cowl. It's really, really, really fun, and I'm like super excited to finish this and get to wear it soon, especially because we're heading into fall. This is gonna look so cool. Also, can you tell that I like blue and green? Like, this is blue and green, this is blue and green, I'm wearing a green shirt. Can you tell a sister has a color palette? I don't know, it might be time to branch out a little bit, you guys. But again, super love this pattern. Definitely recommend you knit it. It's really, really fun. I quite literally like can't put it down. I'm knitting on it all the freaking time, especially because I love stockinette. Stockinette's great, especially when you need like a mind-numbing project to like watch TV or read a book. But sometimes I just need something a little extra, you know? I just need a little like spice in my project that like keeps me entertained, but is also not like super complicated and requires a bunch of brain power. I'm not saying you should knit one, but like you should knit one. Also, sorry for any light changes that are happening. It is like a weirdly like kind of cloudy, kind of sunny day today in Portland. So it's going from being like super, super overcast to the sun peeking out, and my desk is right in front of the window in our office. So the light will kind of change a little bit, but like, 'tis the nature of, you know, the sky, I guess. That's all I have for works in progress right now when it comes to knitting. I don't have any active spinning going on right now. I do think I'm gonna dive into these bats pretty soon because I'm just like super, super excited to like try something new. A totally new fiber prep to me, as well as potentially a new drafting style, so that'll be super fun. So maybe I'll have either like a sample to show you guys next podcast, or maybe like a full finished yarn. We'll have to see. I officially have my finished yarn from Tour de Fleece to share with you guys. So last episode, I think I showed it to you guys on the bobbin after plying. Since then, it has been skeined up, washed, dried, thwacked, all the dealio, and skeined back up into little hanks. And you guys, I'm like kind of obsessed with how this turned out, and like it did not turn out at all how I thought it was going to. I just have two skeins to show you for now. There was a mishap when I was washing and some of my ties came loose and all the yarn got all tangled up, so I had to like untangle it, and I didn't want to have to like re-skein it up on my nitty knotty just to put it into hanks, so I ended up just caking them up, so they're in my shelf caked up right now. But I have two really pretty ones to show you so you can see what they look like. Oh my god, it's so good. It is a little washed out just from like the light outside right now, but it's like this really pretty, like almost wheaty Stella. Stella always has to be the center of attention. We love her. You've not made an appearance in a while, but you're being extra diva today. Ooh, baby. I was not anticipating like how like overall like wheaty this kind of color was gonna be. It gives very much like hay, wheat, overarching color, but like mixed in you get the like browns and teals, and there's some like light yellows, there's some oranges, there's even some like pink in there. Like, it is so pretty. It very much is giving like harvest vibes, like very fall harvest vibes, and I'm like obsessed with this actually. I think it's gonna look so cool as a traveler shawl. I am like so stoked, you guys. I will pop a picture up here like what my fiber looked like and then what the individual bobbins looked like, because this just goes to show that you will never know how something is going to spin up, because this is not at all what I thought that was going to look like. I was anticipating a more like, yes, an overarching yellowish theme to it, but I was way more, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's not this. This is not at all what I thought it was going to turn out to be, but like, it looks so good. And it's so funny because by the time I finished up all three of my bobbins and I was looking at all the bobbins next to each other, I wasn't convinced it was going to look good together. Like, they all felt so different from each other that I was really, really worried about how it was going to look plied. And I think at the end of the day, I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to apply them together and we're going to see what happens. If it's ugly, it's ugly. And then we learn, you know, like that's what is the great thing about being a beginner spinner, is that you just got to do the thing sometimes and then you learn whether or not you like it. And if you don't, then you just don't do it again, you know? So I ended up applying it together and I'm like obsessed with how this yarn turned out and I cannot wait to knit with it. It's also probably the most consistent yarn I've ever spun. There definitely is still a little bit of thick and thin, but not nearly as recognizable as my previous hand spun. Like, I feel like that looks like store-bought yarn. Like, you would walk into, like, I don't know, a local yarn store and you would be like, cool, that looks great, I'll take it. Which is crazy to me. So, I don't know. This is my lesson to all of my fellow spinners, whether you're new, old, beginner, advanced, whatever, to just like, if you're questioning it, just do it, see what happens, because it could end up looking really, really cool, even if it's not exactly what you were expecting. When it comes to how I spun it, I kind of treated the braids differently because the color distribution on the braids were all different. Can't put your little booty in the screen. Don't put your little booty in the camera. I kind of treated each braid differently. So because I wanted like more of a distributed color situation, I didn't want too much color pulling, but I still wanted kind of like the spin cycle-esque look of like the color shifting. I think it was at the shore. I think I split that one, I want to say into fours. I think I split that one into fours because it was more of a splotchy kind of dye style rather than like the specific color blocks, and they weren't like super tight. The color transitions weren't like right after each other and they weren't super small, so I felt like I could afford to do the split into four, mostly because it was just easier for me to draft as a newer person. I don't like drafting from a big large supply of wool. It's a little awkward for me personally, so I prefer smaller strips if possible. At the shore, I also did split it into four because there was less color changes and they were large. Like the almost like gray brown sections were like super big, whereas like the orange and the teal were a little smaller, but I really wanted to break up that brown because I didn't want just a big section in my project to be just like that brown. So I ended up splitting that one also into four. And then the Flock exclusive 2024 colorway from Hello Lavender that I got from Flock last year, I split that only into two because the color changes were pretty close together and small in that braid. Like that transition was going to happen pretty quickly. So I already knew going in that that was going to end up producing a more heathered looking ply or single, which it did. I'll pop a little picture up here just for you reference again. I only ended up splitting it into two because I wanted to achieve that heathered look that I knew was the intention with this braid, but I still wanted to keep the colors somewhat intact. So there was still a little bit of that color transition. I didn't want to completely lose those color transitions either. So that's why I only split that one into two and spun it from end to end. And I did a short forward style. I was pretty proud of myself for how thin I was able to spin my singles, but it's funny because even though my singles were pretty thin, when I plied them together and I washed everything, Rambouillet by nature just plumps up really, really nicely after washing. And the At the Shore and Spring Break from Yarn Jam are on her Shiniko base, which is a Merino Rambouillet cross. And then the Flock colorway from 2024 from Hello Lavender was just pure 100% Rambouillet. So it fluffed so nicely. It's a very squishy, bouncy yarn, but that also means I did not achieve the sport weight that I was wanting. It's probably more of a DK to worsted at the end of the day. The great thing about the Traveler Shawl pattern is that it does have two different sizes with two different kind of gauges with yardage and grams. Andrea spun for both of her samples. One is using a sport weight and the other one was using a DK, I believe. So she lists like how much fiber she used for each of the spins and then what her final yardage in grams were for each yarn. I ended up with 746 yards and 346 grams. So it's definitely hitting like DK worsted when it comes to like yardage versus grams. I have roughly 215 yards per 100 grams of yarn. So that is pretty classically a worsted, I think. Totally fine. I love it and it's great. That just also means I am 100 grams short or not 100 grams, I'm 100 yards short of where I needed to be for the Traveler shawl. Cry. So I was a little disappointed. I was kind of sad because I really wanted to knit specifically the Traveler shawl with this. But the great thing about Ravelry is that you can look at people's project pages. And I knew that this was a project knit with Hand-spun, and a lot of people who spin do knit their Hand-spun for this project. So I was just like in the trenches looking through people's project pages trying to find like Hand-spun notes. And I did find 2, and I saved them into my Ravelry favorites on people's notes. And both of these people had about the same grams as I do for yarn, and they also didn't have enough yardage, and they just ended up modifying the pattern to make it slightly smaller than the pattern makes you knit it for. And I really liked how theirs turned out, and the Traveler shawl is quite a large shawl in the first place, and I don't really feel like I need that big of a shawl anyway. So I think I'm just gonna try to modify the pattern and do like less repeats and just produce a smaller shawl. And I think it's gonna look really great. Both people took pretty good notes, and they both did it kind of differently, so I might do a mix of both of those. So I do think we're still gonna get a Traveler shawl out of it. I think it's just gonna be a little smaller, and I'm not super upset about it, but I think it's gonna look so great. I'm so pleased, and I'm very excited. But yeah, that's all the spinning updates I have. So I have 3.5 skeins of this. I have 3 full skeins that are 200 yards each, and then I have like a little mini guy that's like must be 146, because if they're 200 yards each, the other one is 146 to get the 746. So I didn't have quite enough to make a 4th skein completely. I think if I had enough to make that full 4th skein, I think we'd be in the clear and wouldn't be an issue at all. But that's neither here nor there. That's one of the things that sucks about hand spinning for a project, is that like sometimes you might not have all the yardage you need, but you know, it happens. So, life stuff. Also not a lot going on right now. So obviously, this past weekend I went to Flock. I went up to Seattle with a friend, which was super fun. Got to try a bunch of new restaurants and coffee shops and cafes. It's always fun going to somewhere with a friend or someone you haven't traveled with before, because they always have like way different recommendations, and you end up going to places that you might not have always thought to go to. So it was really cool to try some new coffee shops, cafes, restaurants. Everything was so good. So that was super, super fun. I love going to Flock. It's always great to be around other knitters and crafters, and just kind of being surrounded by people that also do what you like to do. It just kind of hits a little different, you know? And like, you can walk up to anybody and be like, I really like your sweater, or what are you working on? And it like just gives you a really cool path to connect with people. It was really fun just getting to like chat with everyone, support my friends, and go to a thing with a friend that does the thing that I do and the thing that she does. So super, super fun. If you've never been to a yarn festival before, I definitely recommend it. It is a great way to expose yourself to new dyers, new yarn, new people, new projects you might have never thought to knit before, even make new friends. I've always seen so many people that like make friends at fiber festivals too, because they often have different classes that you can take and events and things. So if you ever have the chance to go to a yarn festival, even if it's a small one, I definitely recommend it. It is so much fun. Besides that, I don't really got much going on, you know? I'm just kind of like rocking and rolling. My mom is coming to town to visit for my birthday in, oh my gosh, next weekend. That's gonna be so fun. I'm so excited. So she's coming to visit. Other than that, I'm just knitting and spinning my little heart out. I'm still reading The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, which is the 2nd book of Once Upon a Broken Heart. It is taking me quite a while to read these books. These books are very short. They're not very long. I think they're very young adult, which is not a bad thing. I think it's just a little hard for me to get through because it's very young adult, and there's just not enough, I think, going on pulling me through the books. Maybe they're not my vibe right now. I think I might just need a little more like stuff going on in my books. I do love a book that has like, there's always just something happening. Like when I finished reading from the From Blood Nash series and the Flesh and Fire series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, there was always something happening. It was like always chaos, but it was just so good to read, because it was just like, I had to keep reading. I had to know what was coming next. I had to like know if they were going to be okay, kind of thing. And I love books like that just kind of keep me on the edge of my seat, and like I don't want to do anything else but read. So I think coming off of those books and then coming into this that is very much more written for probably 14-year-olds, It's way slower pace. There's not as much dramatic things happening. It's kind of like, it's really hard to like pull me through the story and like doesn't make me want to keep reading. But I don't like to DNF books either. So I am going to try my best to finish it, and I want to finish the third book as well. I think after I finish this, I might need a serious, like, intense fantasy. So I'm deciding if I want to jump into the Cosmere, which is the Brandon Sanderson universe around, like, Mistborn and the Way of Kings, or if I want to emotionally devastate myself and read the Poppy War trilogy, that I know is really, really good, really, really intense, but also, like, apparently gut-wrenching. So we'll have to see what mood I'm in. We'll have to find out. Something else I got to do this week is I got to see Hozier in concert at the Moda Center here in Portland, Oregon, which was super, super cool. I was able to buy these tickets for my husband for his birthday back in March, but the concert wasn't till August. But it was such a good show. I love Hozier's music. I would describe it as like folky rock, which I mean, most everyone knows who Hozier is. But he puts on such a great show. He sounds so great live. The effects that he did for the songs like very much enhanced the experience. The background singers, the instruments, like everything was just so great. He is such a great, genuine person. His music is really great. It was just such a great experience to hear him sing live and see him perform live. So if you can ever snag tickets to his concert, I definitely recommend. It is so great. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. It's like I've been listening to his music nonstop since the concert. So it was so good. I was so glad that I was able to fight in the trenches on Ticketmaster and was able to snag these tickets for my husband and I to go see him in concert because it was so worth it. But yeah, that's it. Don't got a lot of stuff life-wise going on right now, so. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, just go ahead and give it a little like. That really helps my channel out. And if you want to stick around for some more crafty goodness, please subscribe to the channel, and you can also hit that bell icon to get any notifications for when I post in the future. Thank you all for stopping at my little crafty corner of YouTube and sharing your time with me today. See you next time. Bye!